Right now, there's this huge dichotomy going on where you're seeing a massive increase in what flippers are making as profit, okay? And instead of pushing the flipping agenda, which has been popular for years and years, people have been talking and educating people on wholesaling, which is the essence of getting a property under contract and selling it to the flippers. Right? Making some quick money on it. I'm a big fan of wholesaling, especially if you're trying to fund the early stages of your investment career. It's a great way to get into the business with little to no money out of pocket. But I got to tell you something, it's a flipper's paradise out there. And the reality of the situation today is on a wholesale, you might be able to make by getting a property under contract and then selling it to an investor, a cash buyer like myself or the long list of investors that I work with and coach. You might make 5, 10. I saw a wholesale fee the other day for 20 grand. It was a great deal. For the wholesaler. No money out of pocket, incredible opportunity to learn about real estate. I encourage it, right? But if you are truly going to make bank in this industry, you're going to want to join up with a flipping regime where you learn the intricacies and ins and outs of doing the actual property, which means when I say doing the property, I mean buying it, trying to figure out the funding, then figuring out the rehab process. What are you going to fix in the property, then ultimately selling the property.
Check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning. The time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house. Buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum. Thank you so much. Recording live from our downtown Denver studios with my executive producer, all-around badass, the guy that really makes this show stick together, Mr. Jonathan Winston. What's going on, brother?
Let's see. It is a lovely day today.
Lovely day.
I have been, always looking to kind of read up on a couple of new things. So definitely been doing some real estate reading.
Yep.
Just kind of, just some history and different things like that. But I came across this random article when I was looking for stuff for today, talking about people turning old military silos and old missile silos into luxury bunkers. And so now they're going to it's these multi-level, super, luxuried out, living quarters, and you can shelter in place there for 5 years apparently in some of them. It's kind of
that's a little crazy.
It's a little wild, but I'm kind of looking around the world. There's fire tornadoes out and
you might need to think about this. Maybe a missile silo house is in your future, man. It's funny people turn anything into a house. Have you seen people converting old airplanes or it's kind of nuts. Here's my thought on that. Why instead of spend all that money, why don't you just go buy a house?
Yeah, because it does cost a little bit to turn that random 1970s Volkswagen Beetle into the ultimate livable
with a kitchenette, and
you can stand up in here, man. You're 5'1".
I just see the hippie right now. He's smoking a doob. He's like, you can live in that, bro.
I don't think so, but okay. I can do it.
Well, let's get to the show because we could spin off on that for a while. As always, we open up a little foreclosure news. And I'll tell you here, this is a really exciting article, Jay. Thank you for this one, where home flippers' profits are rising the most. And right out of the gate, the very first sentence of this article that you've got to go see, check it out on the Foreclosure Deals Coach Facebook page or join up in the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders group. But right out of the gate, it says, fewer investors are flipping homes, but those that are still active in the market are earning higher profits. And as a guy who's been flipping for 15 years, all I saw, number one, was shut up. You already heard about that. We don't want the word getting at that about that. And number two, listen, if there's less people in the market playing the game, then obviously the money's going to be more. But the article goes on here a little bit. And obviously, we talk about the news here, but it goes on to discuss the fact that the average profits have gone up in a certain amount of cities. One of the top cities that it went up was in Salisbury, Maryland, where they saw an increase in profit in the second quarter of up to 45.8% more in a flip. And this is where the article gets a little sketch for me, okay? Because although I know this is true in certain markets, for most people, as I deliver the number here, I want you to know this probably does not apply to you if you're in a super hot market. But it did mention that the median paid by investors rose to $67,000 on an average flip. Okay, and I can tell you, as a guy who's been doing this for a long time, I got a handful of deals that were in that median, but in the hyper-competitive market of Colorado, we generally are getting by on $20,000 to $25,000 per flip, and we're happy about that, okay? So if you're thinking about joining up into the fewer flippers of the market because of this article, I encourage you to do so. The Deal Hunting Academy that we coach on encourage you to do so, and we will help you through your first flip, but just know that this ain't a flipping show. This is real world, okay? Right. And in the real world, making 60, 70 grand in a flip is super unrealistic. But what I really loved about this article, I'm going to conclude with this part, check it out in the group, read it for yourself, but Fort Collins, Colorado, just an hour north of where we're sitting right now.
Hey, that's what's up.
So an ROI up 167% because nobody's been flipping in Fort Collins till now. Right? It's a huge college town, bunch of people flowing into that city right now. And to be perfectly frank, the major metropolitan district of Denver, Colorado is over flooding right now with people. Right? And you're seeing a mass exodus of people living in the city. We talked about it on another show where people are trying to get out of the city and they're heading out to the suburbs. Well, they're heading north to Fort Collins. They're heading south to Colorado Springs, Colorado, currently rated one of the hottest zip codes in the United States of America. And I'm not going to lie to you, if you're trying to become a flipper, this could arguably be the best market in the country right now for flipping. But even then, I don't think the average investor is making 60, 70 grand a spread. I do think it's an excellent time to join the Deal Hunter Academy and learn how to do your first or subsequent flip by working with coaching and working your way through that. So today's show, that kind of leads in nicely to today's show topic, is, man, it's a flipper's paradise out there.
Hey, I like that.
You remember that jam back from Coolio?
We've been spending
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Because I've been flipping and grabbing so long that even my lenders think that my mind is gone. But I never flipped a house that didn't deserve it.
Wait a minute.
Me losing money on a flip, you know that's unheard of.
Hold on, man. You're going too hard right now. Wait. What's going on?
It's a flipper's paradise.
Okay.
Tell me why are we... Keep spending most our life living in the flipper's paradise.
I got carried away, folks. Sorry about that.
Listen, it is a flipper's paradise out there. Now you've heard the entire Coolio cameo to get that done. So you're only going to hear that on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
Publishing, licensing. We're going to have to talk to somebody about that.
I'm sorry, Coolio. We're still cool. Yo. All right, it is a flipper's paradise. And why is it a flipper's paradise? Because of a couple things. Number one, there are less people flipping. Why are there less people flipping? Because there's simply less money in it than a lot of states out there. Right? That there's a big jump into flipping because people got out of the game. Generally, when the market is doing extremely well on the retail side, your sellers, which is the lifeblood of flipping, are not in any mood to sell to you cheap when they know they can sell it for retail for a lot more than they can sell it to you. This has not stopped wholesaling from operating in our state or all the states across the union. I'm just saying when the market's hot like this, it's super competitive. Why else is it a flipper's paradise right now? Well, because the flow of money is higher than it's been in a very long time. See, one interesting upside to this coronavirus stimulus package that pumped several $1 trillion into our economy is it dropped interest rates. Well, when you can borrow money at an extremely low interest rate and then lend it at a much higher interest rate, we call you a bank. Right? And the banks are now sitting flush on all of this money, man, just a bunch of money sitting out there. What you may have noticed recently, a lot of offers out there for commercial lines of credit. You've seen a lot of people talking about this Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, which is shipping out free money to businesses all over. It's being misused all over the place, but a lot of free money is flowing in. And the bottom line is the economy is flush with a bunch of access to capital. Okay, in a flipper's paradise, you're going to be able to make a lot more money because you have access to money. You're not going to make as much money on the deals as you will in a quote unquote bad market. Okay, but as a foreclosure deals coach, I'm going to tell you this. There's no such thing as a bad market, because if you're buying a deal, no matter if the market is up or the market is down, you can make a profit. I'm just going to make the argument you're making less money in this current market climate because it's so competitive than you're going to make when things start to head the other direction. Now, one thing to note, a couple weeks back, we did a show, and we talked about market confusion. You've got two entirely different sets of news happening right now. Number one is saying, it's such a great time to buy. Interest rates are down. You got to buy a house.
Do it, man.
Then the other side saying, in about 6 months, January, February, March timeframe, we may be heading towards the largest real estate collapse in the history of mankind. Who's right? They both are. Is that crazy? Right? When the market is confused is when it's your opportunity to get into the marketplace and make the most money. It's a flipper's paradise, man. Been spending most our lives living in the flipper's paradise. Too soon?
Hey, I'm not paying that bill, man. Julio's coming. Have you seen his hair?
Yeah, that's true. That dude walks in, you know he means business because his hair is no joke. Julio's not playing around.
It's not there, but that's neither here nor there.
He came here to win. Here's the point of this show, guys. Right now, there's this huge dichotomy going on where you're seeing a massive increase in what flippers are making as profit. Okay, and instead of pushing the flipping agenda, which has been popular for years and years, people have been talking and educating people on wholesaling, which is the essence of getting a property under contract and selling it to the flippers, right? Making some quick money on it. Now, I'm a big fan of wholesaling, especially if you're trying to fund the early stages of your investment career. It's a great way to get into the business with little to no money out of pocket. But I got to tell you something, it's a flipper's paradise out there. And the reality of the situation today is on a wholesale, you might be able to make by getting a property under contract and then selling it to an investor, a cash buyer like myself or the long list of investors that I work with and coach. You might make 5, 10. I saw a wholesale fee the other day for 20 grand. It was a great deal. You know, for the wholesaler. No money out of pocket, incredible opportunity to learn about real estate. I encourage it, right? But if you are truly going to make bank in this industry, you're going to want to join up with a flipping regime where you learn the intricacies and ins and outs of doing the actual property, which means when I say doing the property, I mean buying it, trying to figure out the funding, then figuring out the rehab process, what are you going to fix in the property, then ultimately selling the property. And I want you to stay tuned because we are going to be releasing a course here in the next couple of weeks. That's the 4 F's of foreclosure investing, which is going to walk you through finding, funding, fixing, and flipping your foreclosure deal. But as the foreclosure market is starting to mount, I think you want to join in this flipping paradise right now and learn this business, because as it progresses, the spread between what you can make on the buy side versus the sell side by putting in what we call sweat equity is going to get wider and wider and wider.
Hi, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. It's important to have good credit when you're buying a foreclosure. A lot of people think you can come in with bad credit, but the fact of the matter is you need pretty stable credit scores to buy a foreclosure deal. So how do you find out how to increase your credit? Well, there's tons of credit repair agencies out there and multiple formulas, but one thing we found that works is reporting your monthly rental payments to the credit bureau. We partnered with rentreporters.com, the leading provider of adding your payment history direct from your landlord onto your credit bureau scores, and it helping people to boost their scores up to 40 points in as little as 30 days. So to get started, I want you to head on out to www.foreclosuredealscoach.com. Now that's a messenger bot, and you're going to use the keyword rent to get more information about Rent Reporters and how you can boost your credit score by getting getting your rental reported to the credit bureaus. Once again, Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. Check it out.
I will argue with the article saying it's 60 grand average per deal. It might be in certain markets. It is certainly not the average here in Colorado where we're working out of, but I believe in Florida. I believe in some of these remote locations. You can make that and then some, but you got to know the process. And the other problem with living in a flipping paradise is you need funding. You have to be able to put the money together, because one of the problems I had as a real estate agent, well, I started as a flipper, right? So I'm an investor who became a real estate agent. And why did I transition to the dark side, as so many of my flipping buddies tell me? Because I needed that income gap to fill in between. The downside in the flipping business is if you're not doing a bunch of flips, you're waiting to get the property fixed up on the market and sold. And that gap in time could be 90 to 120 days. Now, if you're making 60 grand, which I don't think you will in your first time flip, but if you're making that amount of cash, maybe you can live on that in the in-between, right? But for a lot of people who need quicker income, you either have to do a lot of flips at the same time, or option two is you have to supplement your income in between. Some people supplement by wholesaling off deals while they're working on a flip. Some get their real estate license and they generate revenue from working, in the retail side of the real estate space. Some just keep a job. A lot of people flip just as a part-time basis. But when you're living in a flipping paradise, you may find yourself in a situation where you can do multiple projects at the same time and build a long-term ongoing business. And when you get into the elite coaching product that we offer, we teach people how to build a consistent income on a flipping business that can do 20 to 25 flips a year. My team is targeting 50 units this very year. Okay, we're about 34 in at the time of this recording, but it is possible to build a long-term flipping business that allows you to have a consistent income. You got to work up to that. Right? The good news is we're living in a flipping paradise, and this is the time to learn it. This is the time to hop in. And whatever the limitations are, here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, a big part of the show is the mindset, methodology, and tools you need to be a successful foreclosure investor. And why do we mention foreclosures in a flipping paradise? Because that's going to become the primary source of great deals to feed that machine. Right now, it's not, because there's not a ton of foreclosures. The market's doing well in most marketplaces. So where are these guys who are making more on their deals than the average? Where did this increase come from? I'm gonna cite the wholesale market. I'm gonna say there's enough going on in the wholesale market where people are finding deals out there via Facebook ads or direct mail or driving for dollars or using the dealhunter.io app to locate deals right there on the local MLS in your marketplace. They're writing a ton of offers. They're creating this wholesale market that's doing incredibly well. What I'm gonna argue is that market is short-lived. As it shifts and the flippers are able to just pick off properties direct from the seller in the form of MLS listed foreclosures or other sources of places, then that market's going to start to dry up a little bit. Okay, so we're in a flipping paradise, and I want to help you to profit from it, become a part of it. How do you get going? Well, it's simple. We have a community of people who are right where you are right now, trying to figure out how to spend most of their lives living up in a flipping paradise. Thank you again, Coolio. Right? And we want you to join up with that, because there's a ton of stuff you need to know to get started. But the primary thing you've got to learn is how to identify what a deal looks like. So we have the Deal Hunter Academy that teaches you deal identity. How do you figure out if this house you're looking at is a deal? I just had a question posted into one of the Facebook groups that I frequent, where people were asking, well, is it a good time right now to buy a rental with the market as oversold as it is right now? And my argument was, it is always a good time to buy a deal, but you have to know what a deal looks like. Whether you're a wholesaler, a flipper, or a long-term investor, the one common theme which will determine your ultimate success or failure in this game is your ability to identify and then catch a deal, right? And the finding part of this will allow you to catch it. We're going to do a show just down the road talking about how to make sure you've got the funding for that deal once you find it. But I can tell you this, if you don't even know what a deal looks like, you'd have a hard time finding one. Right? This should be reassurance to you that in a flipping paradise that we're in at this moment, there are deals everywhere. Forget the fact that houses are selling at all-time highs. Forget the fact that interest rates are at all-time lows and sellers should not have any trouble selling to a retail buyer. The reality of the market right now is your typical buyer does not want to buy a property at any price range that needs a whole bunch of work. You know, you got a handful of people watching these flipping shows and going, yeah, I want to spend $400,000 on a property, then have to spend, months and $30,000 of my hard-earned money to fix it up. That guy's kind of rare. So the opportunity for flippers to fill that void every single day, houses are going down in value by just basic use. The kids, as we speak, are spilling Kool-Aid on the carpet. Right? Somebody's putting a hot pot on a countertop right now and burning through it, causing damage. Every day in some way, houses are going down in value just by being lived in. You, as an opportunist, as a listener to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, are looking to find those very deals, solve the cosmetic or otherwise problems, and then put that property back on the market in tip-top condition and profit from it. That's the whole game. It is not rocket science. You're buying low, you're selling high, but you have to understand what a deal looks like, and you got to be prepared to operate with other flippers out there who are now starting to figure out that we're in a flipping paradise right now. There are less flippers in the market than there have been in quite some time, and although there's not much inventory, which is why there are less flippers, obviously there are less deals to hunt, less hunters are going to show up. Okay, but you want to get out in front of this and become a part of the future of real estate investing, not where the market is. Anybody can give you the ticker price of a stock in real time. You just got to hop open your phone and go to E-Trade or whatever platform you use, you can find out. What you're looking to do is figure out where the market is heading. And I believe that because the market is where it is right now, the future of flipping is going to get way better, way more profitable. And this article that we're posting this week just goes to show what a great time it is to start your real estate investing career. And certainly we want to be part of it. I want to thank you guys for tuning in every week because I feel like we're delivering a lot of great information, that we're getting some info out there, and we're getting feedback that, yes, I'm seeing the paradise that we're in right now. I'm starting to see the opportunity, but you got to keep looking. You're going to want to get dealhunter.io, grab that software, and start to do evaluation in your own local market. Yes, you can absolutely wholesale and virtually wholesale all across the country, but a new thing is coming up where flippers are working in, I spoke to a guy, Matt Larson, he's a real estate coach as well, and they're doing in the neighborhood of 60 flips right now in like 12, 13 different states simultaneously. Okay, so the guy who can take ugly houses and make them pretty will always have a job in this space. Right? The wholesalers are going to see good times and bad times based on the availability of inventory, but the flippers, the guys who can invest sweat equity and make an ugly house nice, will always have a place here. So whether you want to specialize in wholesaling or flipping is up to you. One's going to make the argument that wholesaling is easier, but when has easier ever been the right way to the path of riches? Right? It never is. The hard route is generally why a lot of people end up broke and some people end up cruising around in their Ferrari 488. Right? It's taking the hard road deliberately. And I don't think flipping's that tough for most people. If you've got a background in construction, if you've got an eye for design, if you've got a passion for learning this or any industry, you can be hyper successful in a flipping paradise. And even in a non-flipping paradise, if the market dries up a little bit, the guys who are good at this gig will make it. You don't see dentists closing shop when the market gets bad because people always need dentists, right? You don't see car dealerships closing up because less cars are selling. They just adapt, they reduce their margins, they figure it out. They're still open. The likes of Auto Trader at platforms that should have taken them out didn't take them out. They're still functioning. And the same will apply to people who perfect the process of being a successful flipper in whatever market you decide to go into. And we certainly hope you do so with us. We certainly hope you keep joining in the dialogue and becoming a part of the show because, man, it's a flipping paradise out there.
I can't tell if you're like trying to like censor it, like flipping, or if you're just, I don't know. But yeah, I like it, man. Flipping, listen, Flipper's Paradise.
Thank you. I'm condoning it. I'm definitely not censoring it. I'm definitely saying that now is the time to get involved. I'm saying that if you've been on the fence on whether it's a good time to invest, you don't have to believe my crazy voice every week. Check out this article. They're arguing that right now is one of the best times ever to flip because there's less flippers in the market and the profit margins are better than ever. You know, and I've been saying that for a while. We've been on the air for just over a year here, and I've been saying now is the time to get into real estate investing. But here's more support for that theory. You know, a lot of people lose money in flipping though because they don't know the rules, they don't know how to play effectively, and if you don't get the right guidance, you can set yourself up for failure. But I think just by virtue of listening to the show, you're getting the education that you need to get started and be successful in this game. Hey, listen, that is our time for this week. So want to thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. And again, join up with the group, the Foreclosure Deals Coach Insiders Group. There'll be a link inside the show notes of this very show. You can join up with the group, have a discussion. If you're having some trouble getting over a hump and getting your investing career started, that's what the group is all about, to help you with that. And then if you're looking for coaching, we call it the Foreclosure Deals Coach Podcast because I can coach you through whatever you're facing along the way and help you to become a successful real estate investor right there in your local market or anywhere in the country that you want to take on. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach, reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Like our Facebook page, Foreclosure Deals Coach, for the latest in real estate and foreclosure investing. Become a part of our community. Search Foreclosure Deals Coach on Facebook to join today.